Is this physique cooked? So you might look at it and you might think, okay, we have slightly narrower shoulders. We tend to store a lot of our mass in our central area. Can we have a good ratio? Compare the arms, compare the chest. Like, what can we do? Well, check it out. If you look closely, you can see a few specific things. First of all, he actually has a reasonable amount of chest mass already. So without even cutting that much, he's going to start to see some chest definition. Then you look at the shoulders. He actually has higher insert traps. So whenever you have a slightly more narrow frame that compounds with the more angular traps, you're not going to go for the super wide appearance. What you're going to go for is having a lot of capping in your shoulders, which is detailed. You're going to have angular traps, and then combining that with a bigger chest, you're going to have a really good tank top presence. That's the kind of physique that a lot of people would want to go for. He might be able to have decent abs as well, and here's why. If you look at it, the way that he's storing the muscle is not really in the oblique area. It tends to be this kind of protruded look. That's a little bit more visceral fat. So he still might be able to have some ab definition, but he might not have the most narrow waist. Visceral fat tends to be harder to lose. Having a small waist might not be an option depending on how he loses the weight, but he might be able to have a significantly flatter stomach because this might be a more bloated look, either due to the food, either due to just kind of relaxing after a meal, or due to the visceral fat thing. And then he's going to store a lot of fat in the lower back. So that's going to be one of the last areas that he tends to lose the fat. So then let's look at what he looks like now. He lost a significant amount of weight, and you could see that chest already has a good amount of definition without him necessarily doing an anabolic phase of muscle growth. That's a really good sign for whenever he starts to put on muscle. You could see that he still has relatively smaller arms, but that's okay because as long as we have kind of the chest shoulder trap area, we still can have an aesthetic frame. Then if we look at the abdominals, the amount of waist size that he has shrank is extreme. The ratio between the shoulder width to the hips and the waist, this is a lot more favorable. So looking at this now, we can see that he actually has a little bit of ab definition. And if he was to hypertrophy his abs, just like the rest of the physique, we're going to see a lot more definition a lot quicker because the amount of muscle mass that he will build has so much less fat to compete with. So keep in mind, if you look like this when you start working out, you do not want to just worry about putting on muscle. It makes a lot of sense to create your ratio with your waist first so that your muscle can actually show up whenever you build.